After going through this video, you will be able to capture user interaction using event handlers, change the state upon user interaction. In the previous video, we created a class component, added red, yellow, blue and green buttons and state to our component. So let us continue from where we left. That is, we will change the color state on button click and use this state to color the heading. And for that, we will first need to handle the event, that is, the user clicking on each of the buttons. React has a built-in event handler for click called onClick. React event handlers are similar to JavaScript event handlers, except that they are written in camel case as we have written onClick here. Now if you don't know what a camel case is, I suggest you explore on the internet and read about it. It is a simple concept. So let us come back to our onClick event handler. To this event handler, we are expected to pass a reference to a function. Let me show you its respective code so as to understand it in a simple way. Don't worry after seeing this code, as you will find a lot of new things which we have not covered until yet. We will understand all of these gradually in this video. So here, you can see we have used the event handler here, here and here. The reference we put here should be added as a JSX expression inside the curly braces. Next, on clicking the button, we want to change the component state. And for that, we have created a separate handler method, changeColor, inside the component class, the reference of which we will pass to the onClick event handler. Now, to this changeColor handler, we have passed a specific color as an argument. This is to identify which colored button has been clicked. Please note that as a reference to the component method, we cannot use this.changeColor red or this.changeColor yellow or any of the given colors. This will call the method immediately as the component loads and will not wait for the button to be clicked. Instead, we should use the arrow function notation here like this. Now, when we use the arrow function notation, we are wrapping the function call inside an anonymous function. And we are then passing that anonymous function to onClick event handler. So when we click on any of the buttons, say red, the anonymous function gets called, which contains only one line of code, and that is this.changeColor red, that will call the component handler method and will pass the relevant argument to it. If it sounds complicated, you can remember it as a rule that whenever we use an event handler, we must use the arrow function notation to call the handler method. We can also check the console to see if the changeColor method is getting called or not. To open the console, we will open the inspect element and we'll click on this console tab. Now, let us click the buttons and see if the changeColor method is getting called. There you go. You can see that the method is getting called, which means we are able to capture the user event, and that is click. Now that we are able to correctly capture the user event, let's change the color state. Also, let's use this color state in setting the class for the h1 tag, which will eventually set the color of the heading. As shown earlier, we have already written the CSS for this. So, as the user clicks on the button, the color state will change, and we are using this color state to define the class of the h1 element that will eventually change its color. But as you can see, we cannot change the state directly. You see that clicking on the buttons has no effect. To do this, we have to use React setState method to make any change on the state variables. The setState method accepts an object that contains a part of the state we want to update along with the updated value. So, we are setting the color to the value being passed to the handler method. This would update the state. Now if we again click on the buttons, we can see that the color of the headings changes. This means we have successfully changed the state. Note that every time there is a change in the state, the render method in the class component is re-executed to keep the UI updated. It makes a component dynamic and very powerful. Now, if we want to add 2 more blocks of boxes, we will only add these 6 lines of code and that's it. These 2 new boxes will have the same functionalities as the other boxes. Well, that was all about states in this topic. We will learn a few more interesting things about them in the next topic. Stay tuned. Up next is a quiz. All the best.